What's going on, creators? I just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate y'all being here and vibing with me for a bit. Today I want to continue kind of talking about mental diets and hopefully adding something positive to your mental diet for today. And that has to do with experiencing the past in the present moment. And what I mean by that is whenever we get into these patterns that are kind of obvious in our life, whether it's relationships, money, maybe your job. The boss is always calling on me to work the weekends again. These same kind of like patterns and stories that we tell ourselves. Whenever we experience these over and over again in our life, it's important to start to realize that we're just experiencing the same loops of the past. It's not the past has drifted off to oblivion, but it's always coming back around in the present moment. And until we kind of let go of the inner talk, the stories that we tell ourselves about different issues and patterns in our lives, we continue to do it over and over again in these like feedback loops. And so whenever these patterns start to emerge, ask yourself and be more and more mindful of the story that you're telling yourself in regards to what's happening. It's really important to start being more conscious of that, because when we're not, we start to become basically drifting and drifting more and more into states of consciousness that involve suffering. And a lot of that's because we're believing stories that we've told ourselves in the past that come from our old identity. And so until you have redefined things that are going on in your life now based on your new identity in Christ, a lot of times they're repeating these same patterns over and over again, unconscious patterns that have a root of I'm a separate brain and a body, and I'm not connected with God. But you are connected with God. As soon as you basically asked Jesus to help you, you're new in Christ. It's a decision that you make in the present moment always, really, because it's only ever now. It's really a battle to stay at rest. And whatever the story you're telling yourself about why you can't do that, it is really what you're needing to let go of next. So it's like you don't really have to go looking for what to do. It's already confronting you, and it's always confronting you in the present moment. And so it's really important to keep that in mind, because a lot of the stuff I hear from maybe the truth community is like, oh, this impending doom of the they. It's always, in 3 months from now they're doing this next scheme. Oh, in a year from now, they're doing this next scheme. It's like the scheme's happening now. That's when it happens. It's like if you are building the they up with your fear, you are then empowering them to have control over your state of consciousness. And so you can really only have control over your own state. It's like on some level you can start to see how our inner conversations and our beliefs and assumptions and really what we believe life to be, it's like it runs so deep, but it becomes mirrored in our life situations, circumstances, our talk or conversations, because a lot of times our speech mirrors the inner conversation. It's like by the time you've spoken it, you probably already said it in your mind many times. And so I think that's really important when it comes to some of the teachings that Jesus gave us in the Bible, where it's like if you have the thought, you might as well have already done it, because it starts to show how important our inner conversations. And another time that stands out is where Jesus asked one of his disciples, who he thought he was. It was like, who do you say I am? And then he answers. Maybe wish I was more prepared. I could pull that verse up. You can pull it off for yourself. But basically, Jesus was showing, how the Father will speak to us from within, and so it's important to really start making that a practice more and more so, going within, giving yourself permission to just be still instead of just reacting. So much of our old nature, of the old identity, was just like, what'd you say to me? You want to fight about it? It's like, is that a challenge? You want to throw down? And just like coming at situations like that, where it's just like, well, you can choose now to, okay, maybe some annoying situation happened. Maybe somebody ran their mouth after you've already repeatedly said, this is an irritation. This bothers me that you're saying now. And now you boundary push, and so it's like, instead of letting, situations then start to control our inner dialogue, the way we feel, our emotions. It's important to see that as an opportunity, because these happen frequently. These challenges, these like shit tests, these things that come to us where it's just like, what is going on with this? But instead of just like constantly getting tricked into reacting to it and then letting it spin you out the rest of like the day, the clock time, hours and hours of just maybe mentally arguing with the person still in your mind, even though they may not even be around you. Or maybe it was just like, even just reminded you of some trauma that you had in the past. This person just rubs you the wrong way because they remind you of somebody, and it's like not even in their, like they did literally nothing to you. And it's like, the more that you're able to then like look at it and be like, okay, what is this telling me from the past that I keep believing is real now? And so listen carefully to your inner conversation that you're having about it, because it will tell you, what the story is that you have around this particular issue. And then ask God to help you inspire a new story about this issue. And just that space, where you have the thought, but then are able to realize that it was just a thought. You aren't your thoughts. You're observing the thought. You're experiencing them. That's happening to you. But you aren't the thought, and you're also not really the emotion either. You have the emotion. You have that inner feeling. But then what you start to tell yourself about it then is what to be addressed in the present moment, because you can be telling yourself very positive things, that are beneficial. Maybe you learned a positive, spiritual attribute from your family or somebody close to you, or strangers, even your pastor, your church, wherever, and that's, able to tell yourself a positive story. Maybe something, quote unquote, traumatic, happens, and you have one person that doesn't find that to be that big of a deal, another person that finds that to be an extreme deal. A lot of times the only difference is the story that you're telling yourself about it. Somebody, just quickly just realizes all things work together for the good of those that love God, and that I just may not understand what this bridge of incidents is yet, but it'll be okay, and then continue on to be able to chill out in the present moment, enjoy peace, enjoy joy, feeling good, and and not be attacking others and attacking yourself, because what you're doing to others is also you're doing it to yourself, because we're all connected. And so part of like learning this new kind of this way of being, I guess, is realizing the connectedness of all things. And so as you're attacking other people, you're also attacking part of yourself, because everything is happening intentionally and for a reason, and a lot of that reason is to help you awaken. And another way to say that is, let go of the old narrative and be in the embodiment of a new state. And so a lot of embodying a new state means letting go of the previous state completely. It's like you can't be pregnant and not pregnant. It's like you're one or the other. And really, when you boil things down to very basic terms, there's really two states of being, one of which is fear and the other state is love. And it's always a choice of which state you're going to occupy. And the more that you practice this, the more you see that to be a true statement, because the old mind feels very threatened by that, partly because it feels like it's going to be destroyed, or it's going to like die, like this old identity, even though it's an illusion. That's part of the practicing of it, where the more you do it, the more you see kind of the illusion of it, and how much like the old identity tries to kind of, I want to say trick you, but like tries to reassert itself and get you to start drifting back into more and more states of consciousness that you don't actually even enjoy. And so it's like kind of crazy, when you realize it's like I keep falling for the same pattern over and over again. And it makes it easier to choose, asking God what to do, really getting the control, because so much of the old nature is about control, wanting to control things. And even once you start to see, how things are mirrored in physical reality based on your relationship with God ultimately, which another way to say that is your relationship with love. It's easy to change those words around, and so sometimes words have so much baggage and definitions behind them. It's easier to use replacement words. Ultimately, God says God's name is I am that I am. When He's speaking to Moses, and what does that mean? That that's you start to learn these things through actual experience. And so a lot of things are a mystery. It's like how can there be oneness and but yet a relationship? It's like that's part of like unpacking a whole lot of what some of these metaphysical teachings kind of represent. A lot of it's not, this is like counterintuitive. It's the same thing with like money and like abundance and wealth. It's like as you give, you get. It's like you're only giving to yourself because we're all connected, and it's important to realize that God is the giver. It's easy sometimes for the old thinking about our Creator in different ways, and not to say sit there and judge your life experience, but like my life experience, it always kind of felt like God was going to take something away, and so that's just like a belief that I had. I don't know where that really came from, other than just through maybe experiencing suffering. It just feel like, oh, just one more thing's taken away, and part of that is a belief that God takes things away like that, and then you start to see that being mirrored into your life experiences, and the more that you believe that, the more it happens, and so again, with that counterintuitive, is counterintuitive because it's like you don't really change the outer expression, you change yourself, and then you allow God to mirror that back to you in God's timing. Once all the resistance that's keeping you from fully realizing it is gone, it's like the more you have this fear, this resistance that wants to hold you in this old past, it becomes these loops that just happen more and more so. When ultimately, as you assume that state of being, because God's already told you you've been blessed. It's like you've already been given everything, and part of that is realizing that that's true. And so and you realize it through testing, by asking, believing, and receiving. It's what Jesus was saying is like the kingdom's within. Seek that first, and His righteousness, and all these other things will be added. And part of like it getting added is a lot of it has to do with your old nature of like not feeling worthy, feeling guilty, feeling like not good enough. All of these things that you've told yourself why you can't experience love and joy and happiness and peace right now. Those are the things that are holding you back. And so when they emerge, start looking at these things and ask yourself, why can't I feel blessed and happy and like heavenly like right now? Allow yourself to give that to yourself, and realize God's the giver, not a taker like that. It's like part of this upside down programming. Realize that God has given you peace, God's given you joy, God's given you all these things. It's like you need to receive them. So start receiving those things now, and you metaphysically feel it inwardly. You feel that energy. You feel that, like the bread of heaven. You feel like getting recharged in your soul, and that's one of the ways you start to know, is because you experientially feel these things, and not to look at any of these emotions or any of these like things that are going on with you like God made a mistake. It's like start embodying more faith in that. What's going on is part of God's will. And not to sit there and think God's will can be just effortlessly, easily broken by you. It's like every thought that you have, everything that's going on in this present moment is like unfolding perfectly. The only reason you don't realize that is just because you don't believe that. You've created all these illusions that you want to push, that truth away. And once you realize that you're doing that, though, it makes it easier and easier not to do that. And so, I just want to share that with you guys. I got Yeah, I'm working. I actually have a fire going, at the moment. I'm like burning some shit in my yard. I had this box spring that has been sitting in my yard for weeks now. There's no grass that is growing underneath of it. That'll give you any idea how long it's been out there. But then I was gonna do this a couple weeks ago. I lifted up the bed and there's like a toad and a frog underneath there and like a pile of eggs. And so I just put it down and gave it an opportunity to hatch and like get the babies and shit out of there. But I think it's starting to get cold at night, and I checked it, just a little bit ago, and like there's no sign of anything going on with it. I might cover it, but I need to get that mattress out of there before I get like a ticket, because I do live in a town, which I don't know how big this town is, like 10,000 people, 15,000 people, big enough for like a Walmart and a Lowe's and another supermarket and like every fast food place. And it's like urban sprawl America. I mean, it's just like you drive to across, like, go north and south, and it's like, oh, all these little towns I'm going through that just have like, it looks like the same town over and over again. Yeah, I live somewhere like that, and so like yeah, and well, the guy that was writing these tickets, he got arrested on a sex charge, which I don't know. He took that position very seriously. I got a ticket, a parking ticket at the courthouse parking lot, because I was in court. It's just like and that was like a big issue, with me. It's like I didn't notice it till I got home. I let my dog out, and I see this, like, I don't know how I drove home without seeing it in the windshield wiper blades, but like yeah, I get home, I'm like, what? How do I get a parking ticket? It's in court. This doesn't make any sense. And then so I called the city and was like, hey, what's going on? I got a parking. I was in court. I was doing a deposition for this insurance thing. It's like and the lady's like, oh, we get lawyers and police officers and judges getting parking tickets all the time. It's just $5. It's like, I don't care if it was a penny. It's the principle of the thing. And then I was going to just fight it just to do it. But then I asked her, I was like, well, how do I fight this? And she's like, well, if you don't pay it in 48 hours, then it goes to it goes from $5 to $25. And then if you don't pay it in like a week or something like that, then you get contempt of a city ordinance, and then you go to court on a charge that you're already guilty with because you didn't pay the ticket. You can't actually fight the parking ticket. And it's like, you can't see how that's not right. That's bullshit. You're setting this up to get. So it's like, oh, it's just $5, or you can get hundreds of dollars in fines and get a misdemeanor. It's like bullshit. This one of the things I'd like. If I had an unending amount of money, is just to be like having a legal team on retainer, just to fight these little things, just to do it. Because I've found, through my, because I had a criminal record, it's like I've been to jail, I've been arrested numerous times, been to court numerous times, hired attorneys numerous times, it's like, that whole thing was like a big, part of my old life, and it's like, if you have money, you can just prolong these things and just rack up these huge legal fees, for the city, for the town, for the, it's like, how much money in a town do you want to spend on an attorney? And it's like, I get 6 of them on retainer and make you read thousands of pages of bullshit. Yes, or we can work something out, and so it's like that, and especially with all this COVID nonsense, but like, it'd be nice to have like a dream attorney, team, just have that kind of disposable, whatever. Here you go, boom, boom, boom. Let's just burn it. Let's just burn a big pile of it. Let's both of us. Let's see who has got the most to burn. But like, yeah. Anyway, I gotta get back out there and like, I try to get that bed, broke up and whatnot, and like, clean out the chicken coop. Check to see if we got some eggs, and put new duck water in the little swimming pool, and yeah, so they're pretty happy at the moment. I was almost got the perfect video the other day. I was like sitting we got a picnic table out there, and I think I was like burning stuff then too, and like I was out there, we got a squirrel. It's like a bench, that's like sitting on a tree. And then like basically a dried out corn cob on top, and the squirrel was knocking off kernels into the chicken. We got like chain link fence around the chicken coop, and like the chickens were just pecking at the corn as the squirrel was like just knocking it off this little bench thing. It was like a perfect viral video, and by the time I was like smart enough to realize, oh, I got my phone, I should just tape this and put it on YouTube to show you guys. Yeah, the squirrel ran away. And so, yeah, with that being said, I think I'm going to bounce. Thanks everybody for listening. I appreciate you guys liking, sharing, subscribing, all the social networking things. Yeah, I appreciate your support spiritually and financially. Thank you for that. And till the next now, God bless.